Thank you for joining us on the Veteran Owned Business. Today we have Greg Trent with One Team, One Coffee. How are you?
I'm doing all right. Thank you. How about yourself?
Doing great. Thanks for coming on so that we can hear a little bit more about your story. So what got you started with your business?
So it, it took me a while to think of a business idea to come up with something. In the long run, I wanted to be able to tell a story of my friend Josh Nelson, who was killed in Afghanistan in 2012. And I didn't know how to do it. I didn't know where to start. And one day it just clicked. And um, I love drinking coffee. He drank energy drinks and to keep us awake. So I figured, let me look into this coffee business. I know it's somewhat a saturated market, but there was things I had to separate my company with the competitors. So what actually put more fire in my belly was the Afghanistan withdrawal last year. And I definitely want people to forget not only Josh's story, but the other sacrifices that the military has made and continue to make. So that's where it started from, was really my friend Josh when he was killed in Afghanistan, to the Afghanistan withdrawal, to put, more kick in my butt to start something. And I chose coffee because coffee reminds me of, you're enjoying yourself, you're able to share stories, talk to other people. You usually ask people, hey, you want to go out for coffee, and chit chat. So that's one way I started it, or the thought process of it, I guess.
Okay, very nice. Um, so do you have like a specific, so what would you want our watchers or our listeners to know about Josh?
Well, not only he was a joker, um, he joked all the time, always had a smile on his face, but we're a 5-4 man team to play together in Afghanistan. Our province was Zabul province, and I was the most senior NCO. I was a staff sergeant E6, and the rest were juniors, E4, E3, and E2. And the most technical one was Josh. So when we had to split the team, it was either Josh as the E3 leading the other two soldiers, even though one was the E4, he was the most technical, very smart, always on point. The night he was killed, it was an ambush, essentially. There's a total of 4 soldiers that were killed, 3 from Fort Lewis McChord in Washington State. But, it was an unfortunate event, huge event, but this is, again, a way to continue his legacy, and not just his, other people's legacy too, that like to share their stories with me. So during our shows that we do in person, which is fun because I get to talk to all sorts of people, firefighters, EMTs, police officers and stuff. And we're able to chit chat over a cup of coffee or my samples that I sample out.
Right.
But yeah, no, and Josh's mom is highly aware of the coffee business. She's super ecstatic. And she gave me the thumbs up, and she's on board with this too. So it's a good thing, and have my army buddies backing me with this. And it's fun.
I love that. So is there a particular reason that you chose coffee to get his story out? Or, versus energy drinks or
Well, uh, I had to choose something that I'm able to share with other people. It's a lot harder to share energy drinks with other people versus coffee. Personally, I love coffee over energy drinks. I used to drink them back in the day, but switch to coffee. It's more warming. It's more, I guess, I know. I picture like a fireplace coffee, and just, wintertime, and or even, I don't know, it doesn't matter what time of the year you could drink coffee essentially. And it's, I'm able to share it with other people essentially, and
yeah,
have a conversation versus, energy drinks or
chug it and go.
yeah.
Yeah, that's a great point.
And it has worked a ton, because at the shows that we attend, people will stand there and chit chat for 30 the 40 minutes just hanging out at the booth and having a conversation. So it does have that appeal.
I can only imagine the great stories that you probably hear, especially, the people that you run into and that can, relate and maybe share like similar feelings with a buddy that they have or somebody that they knew. Um, that's really heartwarming.
Yeah, and it's you don't even have to have a loss. You just share stories, or it's for me, it's anyone that supports. I say freedom. Um, our first responders. My wife is a nurse, so it's a pretty big deal. That not only the military makes sacrifices, so do other people, and even our civilians. So it's I call it our community, and we have to take care of each other.
I love that. Yeah, you're that's a very good point because it's not just military. It is, like you said, first responders, the contractors that come out. I mean, there's so many contractors. I know when we were stationed overseas, they'd come out for 6 months at a time and leave their families behind. It's not any different than what we do as service
Agreed.
members. Okay, so having a great roaster is the key to any great coffee, as we all know. So out of the coffee that you offer, what is your personal favorite?
So I love the blonde roasts, and we just added our additional single origins a couple months ago. And my favorite out of that bunch is the Ethiopia. And so those two, blonde and the Ethiopian, are my two favorite. It was the whiskey barrel, but uh, I do love the blonde though. It's delicious.
Oh, those all sound great. What
Oh,
kind
great.
what kind of a roast are those?
So they're actually both. The blonde is a light roast. The Ethiopian is a medium. It kind of on the lighter side, but it's considered a medium roast. And all the beans are specialty grade beans, and that was a big deal of me partnering up with a roaster that was heavily invested to quality and supporting the military veterans and first responders.
Oh, nice. So it's there's depth to that. It's not just
It's not just, hey, I found this,
yeah.
easy peasy, here's a roaster that, would do this. But
Well, that's great. I'm gonna have to. I'm looking forward to checking out some of your coffees and seeing which one. Sometimes it's hard to make to make a decision. Like, which one do I like better? My mood's all over the place. So one day it might be one thing, and the next it'll be something else. So I look forward to trying those.
oh yeah.
Um, so what do you love most about what you do?
Sharing Josh's story, meeting the people and interacting with them during our shows. And um, earlier this year, I got to travel up to Minnesota, to McGregor, Minnesota, to meet the grocery store people that gave me the opportunity to shelf coffee at Ukura's Big Dollar Store, and it's veteran owned too. So it's very interesting me flying out there, and it's small town, only a few hundred people, but huge supporters, great people, and I guess meeting people.
Very cool. So the shows that you're talking about, those are trade shows?
Well, somewhat. They're gun shows.
Oh, gun shows. Okay, fun. That is, yeah, I love that.
Not only get to look at guns on my downtime, but it's the target audience, I guess.
Okay.
And it, a lot of people were skeptical of doing it at gun shows, but I've sold out at every gun show.
Nice. And so where do you usually get to travel to? Are you doing local or are you going nationwide or?
So right now, it's just mostly local in Colorado. We did one in Billings, Montana, because we travel up there once in a while. But mostly, it's been up here in Aurora, Colorado, and Colorado Springs.
Okay.
And the rest are right now is just trying to do advertising online.
Okay, nice. So you've been in business for, you said a year and 4 months, right? Like when we talked offline. So what would you say was your biggest learning curve when starting the company?
Well, there's a couple, but probably taxes and learning about patents. Um, because and do more research on understanding or sorry, not patents, but trademarking your name, your logo. That was a big deal because I wanted to secure the name, and there was issues beforehand. So that's why it was a huge learning curve, understanding of where to begin, I guess. But I mean, filing for the name, filing for uh, your EIN was pretty simple, but doing your own taxes and trademarking was a little learning curve for me.
Yeah. How long? Because I've heard things about trademarking. I've never actually done it myself, but how long was that process for you?
It's still ongoing right now. It's
Okay.
about 6 months now. It's not long, actually. No, it's about 9 months now. So ongoing, but it's the next phase where pretty much there's no issues. They said I just couldn't trademark the word coffee. So
Yeah. Gotcha.
other than that, um, it's moving forward.
Nice. It's great to hear. Um, so do you have any tips to give regarding that? Like anything that helped you with either one, either the taxes or the finances?
You know, if you if you feel overwhelmed, if you have you could there's research out there, don't have the time. There's a lot of people out there that are willing to help, even if it's for a small fee. Not everyone charges $500. That's what I've learned. I've met a lot of nice people that are willing to share information.
Yeah.
Right now, I work with a CPA, and she charges me $30. And super nice, and she is willing to take her time and show me how to use QuickBooks every time I forget. So um,
You're only
I
doing it once a year. It's hard to remember.
yeah. So, and if I want her to help me do things, or have her do it, $30, and she's super nice. And so just reach out. Don't feel like you have to do it all yourself. I mean, um, because it does get overwhelming. It will stress you out, and always keep your head up moving forward. Um, that's probably one of the hardest parts too.
Right. Yeah. There, there's just you're right. There are so many people who want to help. Just asking, I guess knowing where to go or who to talk to is sometimes a little bit of a challenge. I know like there's for veterans, there are platforms like Veterati where you can go in no matter how long it's been since you've been out, and find a mentor and maybe find something in a market that you're not very familiar with, and you can kind of pick their brains. Or Bunker Labs, I know Bunker Labs is another great one.
Okay.
um Very helpful. Have you heard of them at all or used them at all?
Betterati, yes, I'm actually a mentor on there too for.
Oh, nice.
Yeah,
Great.
not Bunker Labs. I'll have to check them out too.
Yeah, check out Bunker Labs. That's pretty cool too. I haven't had a lot of time in there, but I've heard nothing but great things, and I did get on there. I know they've got a lot of great information to share.
Thank you.
um yeah, so what would you say is your biggest recommendation for someone who wanted to start their own business?
If do your research as always. If it's a huge market, for example, like coffee, think outside the box and what would separate yourself from your competitors, right? That people are like different, and that's pretty big. And um, advertising, apparently, that's huge, as I'm learning advertising, marketing, and that's honestly, I'll be honest, that's where I'm lacking at still. But that's probably where look into, marketing separate themselves. For example, the way we separate ourselves is we provide specialty grade coffee. That's the highest grade of bean you could get without breaking the bank. You don't have to pay $25, $30. I used to pay that. I never liked $25, $30 for coffee. So, my goal was to provide quality coffee Josh's story, and keep it simple. You go on the website, it's simple, no pop-ups. I do have a couple of funny names, but for the most part, here's a name. It is blonde roast. Yeah, Costa Rican. It's straightforward. Go to some of the competitions. You have these wild names. I'm like, well, what roast is this? I'm
Right.
reading the whole bag, trying to figure it out. You know, that actually deters me, but that's just my opinion. But again, that separation, thinking outside that box is a big deal.
Yeah, there so I can help like offline. I can help you with some marketing tips, but but that's a great point. People like that's one of the things they talk about in marketing is that you have um you could have a great product, right? And there's chances that there are other great products that are out there, but a lot of times like if you as long as you've got a great product, you have to find a way to get your ideal client to like have feeling, right? Like we buy with our emotions, or whether that's purpose, whether it's the mission, whether it's the morals, or even the individual. So with a lot of things, and maybe not necessarily coffee all the time, but like for what I do for my day job, like we provide a great training resource. Like we give great certifications. There's other companies that do as well, but people buy from people that they can trust, um, and that type of thing. So it's there's so many different levels with the marketing side of things. So you just definitely have to stand out. Like why you, why me, why So that's a great tip there.
And
Um,
oh, and colors too. For some reason, that's why I chose white for the bags, because for example, there's green bags, brown bags, black bags, and I know Starbucks has some. There's silver bags, but there's very few white bags. So, but but yeah, again, that comes to the whole marketing again.
Something to stand out. Very good point. All right. Well, so that's all the questions that I have for you. Do you want to go ahead and give us your pitch?
Sure. Okay, so this is what I usually tell people at the show. Um, this One Team One Coffee started this in 2021. I remember my friend Josh Nelson, who was killed in Afghanistan. We have all sorts of coffee, from light to medium dark, and from specialty or mixture roast to single origins. You're able to purchase the coffees without breaking your wallet, your bank. So far, everything's been under $20 and you get to enjoy specialty graded beans. We do have two different types of beans and grind. So you could order whatever you want. It's hand roasted to order, so it's always fresh to your door. And that's it.
All right. Well, thanks again so much for coming on.
Yeah, thanks for having me.